Welcome back, Nick Lenz, Comic Corner, Classic / Non-Classic. This is episode 922 and Doubleshot number 816. I have two DC trades, one Batman, both of them two Batman-related trades. One is definitely a Batman-related trade, one was loosely related. Alright, first up, it is Robin Volume 2, Triumphant. Written by Chuck Dixon. Yeah, he writes the Robin issues in here. Of course, we also have writing here by Alan Grant. Yeah, he writes a few of the issues in here. We all work by Tom Lyle, the late Norm Breyfogle, and Grant Meeham. The cover art in here, this is done by Mike Zeck. This book collects Batman 465, 467 to 469, Robin Volume 2, issues 1 through 4. And Robin Volume 3, issues 1 through 6. Now, this is basically presenting Robin's career in chronological order. Yeah, of course, Tim Drake at this point in time in his career had not been Robin for very long. So he's fighting, like, in the standalone issue in here, he's fighting, like, something. I'm not really sure what it is. It's probably one of his first outings as Robin. I mean, the three part that comes right after actually deals with character links, find some Chinese gang, and of course they're dealing with, like, they're thinking that maybe King Cobra may actually be alive. Of course he actually is. And of course the next part deals with that. Yeah, it has a brief as Batman fight King Cobra, and of course that's that. Joker's now Robin so the second volume Robin is referred to as Robin 2 Joker's Wild. Yeah, this one has Tim Drake take on the Joker for the first time. And when he meets the Joker Jew, and of course there's references to in that conversation to that of a death in the family. Yep, interesting little miniseries. Of course, the reason why he's fighting the Joker is because Batman's out. I don't really remember what it was. Like, I did get a chance to look at before I started this review exactly what Batman was up to prior to this miniseries. And of course, Batman shows up at the end of the miniseries. The third miniseries is Tim Drake working with the Huntress for the first time. Now, apparently, Batman knows Huntress is Helen Bertinelli. Yeah, and she's a teacher, which interesting. I'm kind of glad the fact that in the Birds of Prey comic, they actually had her retain her profession as a teacher. Even Grayson as well, though in Grayson it was a spy series, and she was basically being a supporting character in the book, and she appeared for pretty much most of the entire series except for like 1 or 2 issues. Interesting little team up miniseries, and Batman himself is there at the start, then he disappears. It's mostly just because it's a Robin series, focus of Robin and Huntress, and they have great chemistry together, and it's a good thing they don't follow each other because Tim Drake is supposed to be in his early teens. Helen Bertinelli is supposed to be in her late 20s, I'd say. Yeah, I'd say probably late 20s because it's a teacher. Though, of course, this was of course at least about 5 or 6 years prior to Huntress having one night stand with Nightwing. Yep, that's basically when it comes to that. Yeah, that of course that miniseries was done by Devin Grayson. Yeah, these were issues that came out period of 1991 to 1993. Yep, great set of issues. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. I'm hoping to get more volumes of this. I was so lucky to find this thing at Ollie's. I got this thing for $6, and the original card price of this thing was $25. Yeah, good thing I got this cheap. Next up is an older comic from 2000 miniseries published in 2008. What is this miniseries? Salvation Run. A 6-issue limited series, I believe, published in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2008. Now, there are 2 writers in here, Matthew Sturges and Bill Willingham. Bill Willingham writes the first 3 issues of the series, and the second half is done by Matthew Sturges. No idea why. What's the premise of this miniseries? The premise of this miniseries is this. The U.S. government is apparently fed up with those suit villains, so their ultimate plan is to send them to another planet. A deserted planet with no resources at all. Yeah, pretty much almost every single villain on the freaking planet here. I mean, mostly like a lot of A-list villains. People like the Joker. Let's see. Joker, Lex Luthor, Mr. Freeze, Solomon Grundy, Yeah, even Martian Manhunter is here for some reason. Even have they have had one of the blockbusters here, which that doesn't make any sense because both blockbusters are dead at this point in time. Yeah, though they also have Monsieur Mala and the Brain, along with Gorilla Grodd, who at one point in the series is thrown off a cliff by Lex Luthor. Maybe this scene was inspired by the Justice League Unlimited series, where in the second last episode of the series, Lex Luthor shoved Gorilla Grodd out into space when he transformed the headquarters of the Secret Society into a freaking spaceship. Yep. Though in the, I think it was in the second last issue of this series, Gorilla Grodd had a conversation with Monsieur Mala, talking about eagles, stuff like that. Gorilla Grodd argued he's an actual gorilla, and of course he argues that Monsieur Mala is not an actual gorilla, he's just a gorilla created in a lab. So what does he do? Like, Monsieur Mala tries to find him. So, Gorilla Grodd picks up the Brain's tube and whacks Monsieur Mala to death. And also killing the Brain as well. Killing off two characters in the same issue. A lot of the other characters basically just minor villains. There's a couple people who really makes no sense being here. And that's the Thunder and Lightning brothers. There are a couple of heroes for the Teen Titans series. I'm like, why in the world did the U.S. now in the book? It's never explained of how in the world. Now they do explain how the characters got there via boom tube technology. As for how the U.S. government got it, no idea because last time I checked, the Justice League had this technology. Yeah, as for how the U.S. government got it, never explained. Also, Deadshot said he had this by being part of the Suicide Squad at this point in time. Yeah. They say he's useless and, well, so out here. Oh, Bane. Yeah, Bane shows him here as well. He doesn't do much of anything. Now, mostly this miniseries is occupied by a boatload of Batman villains. A lot of really big ones, like Mad Hatter. There's a few I could think of that are not here, like Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Catwoman's clearly here, which that doesn't make much sense because at the time the miniseries was published, well, Catwoman had just wrapped up her ongoing series, though as for why in the world she was sent to this planet, I mean, she's not technically a regular supervillain. She's just a thief. Why is she not here? I have no idea. Unlike a lot of the other villains here, they have a good reason. Heck, even Simon's here as well. Yeah, Simon from Marvel Teen Titans one. Oh, what happens to him? He gets killed by the Joker by having a rock thrown at his head and smashing his head. Yeah, Joker kills people in the series. The way that Matthew Surges Ben Willing writes the Joker, it's like, man, this is basically uncharacteristic of the Joker. Like, there's talk about shedding skin. Of course, that's kind of disgusting. I mean, there's some points I'm like, really? You're going to act this way? Despite like this is what you normally do in the Batman comics? Yeah, it's like the writers just didn't really care for Joker and writing to be complete opposite of how it's normally depicted in other comic books. As for why and of course, now those who are curious to how in the world this miniseries ends. Lex Luthor and a group of super geniuses, basically called mad scientists, including Dr. Savannah of the Captain Marvel comics, well, DC's Captain Marvel, they work together to build this makeshift boom tube, which kills a few villains. Also, Martian Manhunter's in this series, and he's wearing his look from his 2008 miniseries that was published with his thing. They have Chemical in here, Ragdoll, a boatload of villains, like a good boatload. Yeah, here's Martian Manhunter, his look he had just prior to his death in 2000, just before his death in Final Crisis. Yeah, this was his look he had during that period of time. It's so surprising now because people think of the classic look that he's known for having. And this is not as classic. This is something they came up with Brave when he came up in Brave New World and got his own miniseries. This was released probably just after the Martian Manhunter miniseries wrapped up. Yeah, this probably comes like I thoroughly enjoy it, but man, some of the writing here was so freaking bizarre. I'm gonna give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. But man, I'm like. Yeah, and by the way, this miniseries was released as a tie-in to a weekly series that is considered to be one of the worst comics of all time, Countdown. Yes, Countdown. There's even some Flash villains in here as well. There's a couple who is not, and those two are not here are James Jesse, the original Trickster, and the Pied Piper. Yeah, they're not in this miniseries at all. Where are they? They are roaming around the country, and of course, at one point, Trickster is killed, and Pied Piper is hallucinating that the Trickster is still giving homophobic jokes. Yeah, also one issue of that series where you have the Flash. This is of course the Wally West Flash. Was also of course after they killed Bard Allen, his cousin, who was also Barry Allen's grandson. And at the end of one issue, he's basically squeezing the handcuff links, the chain thing, which is electric. Apparently, he's squeezing from a shotgun and a magnetic issue. It's like the artist just basically forgot. Yeah. Excuse me. When it came to Countdown, that was one of the biggest problems. I agree. That was one of the stupidest things the book had, was the fact that this book had no editor, nothing consistent like throughout the whole series. That particular thing. I mean, if anybody's ever watched Lencar's review of Countdown, it is pretty accurate. I've read Countdown. It is pretty bad. It's got good artwork, very inaccurate artwork. Why do you think Countdown was so successful? You had a good editor, good writers, and of course the artwork was consistent. My guess is when they came with Batman Eternal several years ago, they probably, despite the fact they had multiple writers in the book and of course artists, at least the artwork was consistent, and at least of course the editor was actually doing their job. In the case of Countdown, the editor was basically out of the office. He's basically on vacation when this weekly series came out. Yeah, but Countdown had a boatload of miniseries. I've read pretty much the majority of them. Like, pretty much all of them I've read. They're all good miniseries. It's just that they're completely pointless in the terms of Countdown, but they're great miniseries on their own. I think there's one called Countdown Arena, which is a really good miniseries featuring the characters like Animal Man, Adam Strange, and Starfire. Basically a precursor to that of the series Rebels coming back not long after that. So yeah, that's really it for this particular review. Stay tuned for 2 more videos I plan to do today. One, of course, being a review of the newest dub episode release for Fairy Tail and our Comic Corner. Okay? But to see you next review. Bye.